Okay, let's look at another example of arithmetic sequences. So we're going to write the explicit and recursive rules for this arithmetic sequence. So first, we're going to verify that it is arithmetic by checking if we're adding or subtracting the same thing each time. So from 10 to 5 is minus 5, and then we go down 5 again, we go down 5 again. So sure, we're subtracting the same thing each time or adding a negative number, the same negative number each time to create the next term of the sequence. So we know that D is negative 5. That's that common difference. And then our first term is 10, so a sub 1 is equal to 10. So our formulas, if we have to write a recursive formula, we're going to state the first term, a sub 1 equals 10, and then state how to get a sub n. And that's going to be our a sub n minus 1, previous term, plus d. So I'm going to go minus 5 because we're subtracting 5 each time, so plus negative 5 or just minus 5. So that's our recursive formula. There's nothing else to do for it. Okay, and our explicit formula is just a sub n, and then that's a sub 1, so 10, and then it would be plus d, so that'll be minus 5 times n minus 1. Okay, so this is just based on what number term it is. And we can leave it like this, or remember we can simplify and combine like terms a little bit. So this would be equal to 10 minus 5n plus 5. So this formula is equal to 15 minus 5n. And that's the simplified version. All right, so I hope that's pretty simple for you. I actually think arithmetic sequences are one of the simpler topics that we do, especially since we're here at the end of the semester. It's kind of nice to have something not crazy hard, because really, you are adding the same thing each time. So you're really talking about basically a linear function. Okay, so I think these problems are a little bit more challenging, like a little bit interesting to do. So take a look at these two. First, a sub 2 is equal to 3, and a sub 5 is equal to 24. And we're told that it is arithmetic. Okay, so we have to know that it's going to follow these rules, because otherwise we just have two terms. We don't know how they're related. It is arithmetic. We're going to find the rules for it. So first we're going to need to find D and find the first term, because the first term isn't given. And then we'll be able to write our rules easily. Okay, so what I want you to do for this one, because we're talking about terms 2 and 5, right? So this is a sub 2, right? And this is a sub 5. So a sub 2 is the number 3, and a sub 5 is 24. And we want to see, like, how are those related, and then how do we find this a sub 1 that we need, right? So because it's arithmetic, we know that we are adding, every time we're going to be adding d. So this would be plus d, this would be plus d, and this would be plus d. So do you see that we need to add 3 d's to get from the second term to the fifth term, right? So, and then the difference between these two numbers is 24 minus 3, right? So we have 21, and that is 3 d's. So let's just divide that by 3, and then that will be our d. So 21 over 3 is equal to 7. Okay, and that's d. So in other words, if we add 7, we get 10. If we add 7 again, we get 17. If we add 7 again, we get 24. We have to add the same thing each time. So that's why I divided by the 3, the number of d's that we had. Okay, so now we know d is 7, and then we can easily find the first term, because if the second term is 3, we just need to subtract 7. So I'm thinking a sub 1 is 3 minus 7, which is negative 4. Okay, so now if we want to write a recursive rule, we would say a sub 1 is equal to negative 4, and a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus 7. That's our recursive rule. And for our explicit rule, we have a sub n is equal to -4 plus 7 times n minus 1. Okay, which if we want to simplify that, that's -4 plus 7n minus 7. So that is equal to -11 plus 7n. Okay, not so bad. So let's look at one more of those because I want you to be more be comfortable with the process. So I picked terms that were a little higher so that we wouldn't want to like write them all out, okay? But it's the same idea in this process. So in this arithmetic sequence, we have the 8th term being 75. That looks like this. A sub 8 equals 75. And we know that the 20th term, so a sub 20, is equal to 39. Okay? Oh, so look, this d must be negative because our number is getting smaller as the terms go up. Okay? So you might notice that we're going to have to do 39 minus 75, right, to see how what the difference is between the two numbers. And then we're going to need to divide that by how many d's. So how many d's are there between 8 and 20, right? We have to add d to get to the 9th term, add d to get to the 10th term, 11, 12, etc. Well, really, it's 20 minus 8, right? We have to add d 12 times to get from the 8th term to the 20th term, okay? So if we figure that out, 39 minus 75, I got that was negative 36, and then on the bottom is 12. So this is -3. And remember, that is D, okay? D is -3. So I didn't write it all out this time, but it's really the same thing that we did here when we wrote all of the spaces, right? And then we figured out that there were 3 terms between the 2nd term and the 5th. Well, that's 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, so I really did the same process, just with higher numbers. Okay, so now I know D, but I actually still don't know, it doesn't look like I know a sub 1, right? So to find a sub 1, I've got a couple options. I mean, I know the 8th term, I could add 3 like 8 times, right? To get to the 1st term, or maybe 7 times. But I think I'm gonna set it up in the formula. You know that the formula is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus d times n minus 1, right? And I know I could use a sub n being the 8th term. Okay, so I could say 75 is equal to a sub 1. I know d is -3, so -3 times, 8 minus 1, talking about the 8th term. So 8 minus 1, okay? This is for a sub 8 equals 75. That's the info I just plugged in. It would work the same as if I did a sub 20 equals 39. I could plug 39 in here and 20 in here. Okay, so that will tell me what a sub 1 is because it's the only thing I don't know there. So that's 75 is equal to a sub 1. Let's see, this is -3 times 7, so -21. So if I add 21 to both sides, I get a sub 1 is equal to 96. Okay, well, now that I have those terms, the rest is simple, right? So my recursive formula is a sub 1 equals 96, and a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 minus or plus d, so -3. Okay, and my explicit formula is a sub n is equal to a sub 1, which is 96, minus 3 times n minus 1. Okay, again, I can simplify that formula or I can leave it how it is. All right.